everybody, get those beverages, get those snacks, find your way to the stands because we're going to kick off our top 8 battles. We're actually going to do a few bottom 4 battles before we get to the top 8. These last 4 drivers are going to have to win their way in if they want that 8th and final spot in the top 8 bracket. So we're going to ask that those 4 drivers, Hess, Max, Mike Knapp, and Jake, who appears to already be down there. Everybody in the bottom 4, let's see you on the line right now. Drivers make their way to the line. We'll go over it one more time. So we had an odd number of drivers show up for competition today. We had 11 drivers qualify, so our bottom 4 drivers are going to have to win their way into the top 8. We have Jake Parrish. This is his first competition today. Did a great job. We have Mike, the man himself, Knapp. We have Tyler Hess, who has gotten his car back together just in time to enter competition, so great job there. And we have Max Chachulin. So those 4 drivers are going to do battle, and the winner out of those 4 is going to get our number 8 spot and go up against our number 1 qualifier, Chris Stevens. So although Tyler Hess did not get to put down a qualifying run, the other drivers were nice enough to let him have the last place qualifying spot so he can try to win his way in. So it just speaks to sportsmanship of drifting. It's really great community out here. We all want to see a ton of awesome battles. So even though he didn't get to put a run down, we are going to let him compete in today's events. But he's not going to have an easy go of it. He's going to have to beat Max, and then he's going to go up against the winner of Jake Parrish and Mike Knapp. He'll have to beat one of them as well before he even gets into the top 8. So it's a long way going. So we have our first 2 drivers up on the line. These are our 10th and 11th place qualifiers, and they're going to go ahead and do battle. We have Max leading, and Tyler Hess will give chase. We have Max in the E90. I believe that's an N54 in there. I think he's got the stock motor in there. Someone correct me. I always want to assume it's an LS, but I know it's not. And then Tyler Hess is everything should have an LS. No, I'm just kidding. And then we have Tyler Hess in his BQ swapped S14. He will be giving chase in this battle. Why don't you go ahead, Mike?
All right, our first battle here, a double-header weekend here at Raceway Park, the Gambler, and Hess initiates in the outside zone number 1, and Max trying to put the pressure on. There's that Snapchat filter, S14 trying to clear in outside zone 1 as Max trying to keep the wheels spinning. Falls back into position behind Hess's car as both drivers work their way down the hill here on the road course at Raceway Park. Clicking through outside zone number 3, Hess trying to put the front end of that S14 through the front inner clip as both drivers manipulate their way into outside 4, and Hess bails out. A nice call, very great driver etiquette. Hess having some problems through practice. It looks like, unfortunately, the problem has
returned, Mike. This is exactly what his car sounded like in practice.
So bad.
It's hurting my heart right now. I hate to see that. You never want to hear the metal crunchies in competition, but I will say, although we don't ever want to see a driver get a 0, I am glad that they didn't come into contact with one another so they can live to battle another day.
Once again, it's definitely very cool to see a little bit of driver etiquette, diving that car out of the way so Max's BMW was out of danger. Definitely not how we want to start off our battle weekend, but Hess showcasing why he was put into that last position due to mechanical failures, limping that car off of the track, no fluids down, so it looks like we'll just have to send Max for his second half of the battle just to showcase, and then we'll have our drivers pull back up when we'll get our next battle on the line. Like Sarah has already said, we've been in our bottom half of the drivers. These 4 drivers are competing for their spot in our final 8, our top 8 drivers here for Saturday's Gambler.
So Maxim is going to go back on the line, and he just needs to showcase that his car is fit for competition. He needs to put down a run. As long as he leaves the line under his own power, he will get the win here, and he'll get to go up against the winner of Mike Knapp and Jake Parrish.
Yeah, this is sometimes a good or a bad thing. Max used this data point, this extra lap, in the heat of the moment to calm his nerves and make sure that machine's still working and ready for the rest of the competition here at Raceway Park the Gambler. We've also awarded our Let It Ride tokens to our drivers randomly through qualifying. A big congratulations and a thank you to our Let It Ride token sponsors. Awarded that Drift HQ token, Alan Boss. Awarded the South Bay Fuel Injectors, Tyler Foley. Holding that Freedom Motorsports token, Max, out there showcasing that car still works. He's going to double that winnings going into his next bracket, taking that $25 from Freedom Motorsports and turning it into $50. Let's see if he can hold that energy and keep doubling his money for the rest of the battles here today. Our next 2 winners of Let It Ride tokens, thanks to East Coast Drift School, Chris Stevens, our #1 qualifier. And last but not least, with that Flipsco Let It Ride token, Mike Knapp. Max is finishing up his second half of his battle here. Unfortunately, Hess with that Snapchat filter Honda Accord S14. Unfortunately, getting back out here, but unfortunately taking another mechanical hit, giving the win to Max.
Well, the great thing about the very first E-Town Raceway Park the Gambler doubleheader is that he has a chance to compete tomorrow. Hopefully him and his team can take a look at that S14/Honda/350Z and go ahead and get it fit for competition tomorrow, because we're running a whole nother comp tomorrow from qualifying all the way through the end of competition.
So that's definitely going to end his day today. So Max is going to walk into the next bracket. Hess and his team's got a little bit of work to do, but probably not a bad idea to wander in the Sneaky Pete's bar and get one of those drink specials and sit down and watch the live stream as we get into our next battle here. Our next 2 drivers, Mike Knapp going up against Jake Pepperoni Parrish. Both drivers work their way into outside zone number 1. Mike Knapp doing a great job filling that zone. Jake Parrish trying to get that SR20 to keep up with that 1JZ powered S13 of Mike Knapp. Both drivers driving down the hill now. Mike Knapp doing a great job holding his line together as Jake keep his as close to Mike Knapp's S13 as possible. Jake's just trying to play the catch-up game now as Mike Knapp taking that JZ S13 hatch for a cruise around the course here. Jake's trying now a little bit of a line deficit there, trying to put some proximity in as they work their way and across the finish line.
I believe that was Jake's very first tandem competition lap ever, and I don't think he looks that much like a rookie, to be honest. He did let Mike get away from him a little bit from the center section coming into the hairpin, but you know, now he's got competition tandem practice under his belt.
Well, you can see where Jake didn't really anticipate the amount of wheel speed that the JZ underneath Mike Knapp's hood was capable of producing going into that front under clip. And you can see he tried to clean up proximity, doing a little bit of line choices here, trying to clean that car up and clean his line back for his chase battle. All Jake has to do is put down a nice lead run, and then it's up to Mike Knapp to put down a nice chase at this point.
Yep, we're going to go ahead and switch positions up on him. This time Jake will lead and Mike Knapp will give chase. Our judges are deliberating, taking some notes on how each car performed. Now, just if anyone's new to drifting and they're watching here today or they're watching at home, the goal of tandem competition is for the lead driver to put down that 100-point qualifying run. And the chase driver will use the lead driver as sort of a moving clipping point. They need to stay right behind the fender, right at the door of the lead driver, and just mimic their line. So even if the lead driver is not exactly on the perfect line, the chase driver should be mimicking them and getting as close as they comfortably can. The closer the better. And then they'll flip it around, do it again, and the judges will pick their favorite. Here they go.
And the second half of the battle here, Parrish works his way down to the inside, going into outside zone number 1 as Mike Knapp's 1J powered out of the door of that SR20 powered S13 of Jake Parrish in the lead. Both drivers work their way to outside zone number 2. Mike Knapp doing a great and Parrish through.
Mike likes to cut out exactly at that point. Yeah, Mike Knapp is not letting him get away through the center section where they pick up some more speed. Jake's doing a great job getting into that outer zone number 4, although he is a little bit shallow for my taste. Nice job coming in super smooth, super wide into that hairpin. But Mike Knapp is knocking on the door as they come across that reference point and transition up into the bank.
Oh, no!
Oh my gosh.
And a major mistake out of Mike Knapp on the bank, but maybe getting a little sauced up from the pepperoni man himself, Jake Parrish.
Slipping on those pepperonis.
His
I think we have an upset here, Mike.
First competitive drifting. He's leaving all the cherries out here.
Well,
he's gonna get a battle win too.
I'm gonna make it official. This is his very first tandem win. The win goes to Jake Parrish. Great job. I mean, you hate to see him go out like that. You hate to see Mike Knapp go out on a spin, but very proud of Jake. He kept it together.
He's got a perfect batting average right now. He's undefeated. He should just go home right now and just hold on to that title. Someone give him a belt.
Someone go tell him in his window so we can have him super stoked for this next battle where he will be taking on Max Chachulin in his E90. Think he's going to have a hard time keeping up with that car?
It's definitely going to... Good luck, bud.
Well, he might have a bit of an advantage because he did qualify higher. Jake did. So Jake will be leading and Max will be chasing him.
So Jake having a little bit of an advantage getting that lead first. Max is definitely going to have to make his car and his decisions work behind Jake's decisions. And Jake doesn't have a lot of real estate. One of the longest laps that we see out here.
Yeah, this is definitely not the easiest track to decide. This will be my first competition on, but hey, I'm proud of him. I think he's doing great. And he stole Mike Knapp's Flipsco token.
Oh, he's already stealing money out of the Knapp's pocket, taking that Flipsco token. That's going to hold $25, but he has the opportunity here to double it going into the next win if he can take out Max in his BMW. As we're gathering these two drivers, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us here at Race Park for our doubleheader weekend of the Gambler. Also, thank you guys for joining us on the internet. Welcome from YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you guys tag your friends. Let them know that we're on the internet. Also, let them know that they can get signed up at the gate tomorrow. Bring your car down, bring your machine. If it passes tech, you could battle it out with this very same crew out here today and take home thousands of dollars in winnings.
You got it. And if you're watching at home, chilling on your couch, you're jealous that we're having all this fun, sipping some drinks trackside, you should join us tomorrow because it's a double header, baby.
There's bourbon in the bar.
There's bourbon. It tastes great. We're just giving these drivers a minute or two to change tires since they do have to battle back to back. So we're going to give those drivers just a couple of minutes to get some fresh rubbers underneath them, and then we'll get them back to the line where Jake Parrish will take on Max Chachulin.
I know for a fact that Parrish doesn't need any more rubbers. That dude's out basically on the scrubs from last month.
He is on the struggle bus, but you know what? It's always nice to root for an underdog.
No. He's out there on scrubs by choice.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure he's got like a stack of tires over in the pits, but he just refuses to take them off.
It's just a vibe then.
He was out there, they were telling him you need more tire pressure, and he was like, no, I'm just going to stay out here, and he just kept driving, and everything started working.
So he's just like the raccoon of drivers,
I think
just in the garbage can, rooting around.
Instead of changing tire pressure, I think he's just wearing the tire down and riding back.
And so Mike's saying instead of changing tires, he's just changing his pressures instead.
No, he's just wearing them out. He's just wearing them down to the cords. That's his adjustments. He's just going to rock that whole tire all weekend, I think was his goal.
That's a bold strategy. I am really interested to see if that works out for him.
I mean, it's working so far. He's got one win and a token.
Well, I stand corrected here. Instead of making these fine people wait for another battle, we're going to send Tyler Foley while we let Jake and Chachulin change tires. So we have our very first battle of the top 8, Tyler Foley and Jimmy Revert. This should be an exciting one. We got 2 LSs in here. I already like this battle.
Everything's got an LS. Jimmy's pulling up in that blue S13 hatch up against Foley in that orange BMW. Both these guys got 8 cylinders underneath the hood. Both these guys have been driving for definitely a longer time than most drivers out here.
And away we go.
Both these guys working their way down the straight here as Foley takes that lead position, getting chased down by Jimmy Revert. Both drivers working their way to outside number 1 as Foley clicks in the outside zone 1. And Jimmy tries to fall into position now right behind Foley. Way down. both working their way down the hill. Jimmy showing a little bit of patience as Foley starting to click in, taking out that first cone of the outside 3. Go right past that first inner clip as Tyler Foley rotates through. Jimmy trying to match that angle. A little lackluster there from Jimmy, but it falls back into position there. Maybe a little safety check there as he dives back into the hairpin. Jimmy a little bit of a wobble, stands back on the throttle, standing, trying to pick it up behind Foley's BMW. Both drivers work their way past the reference point, flick back up to the bank. Foley right there on the Raceway Park side as Jimmy trying to keep it on his door and across the finish line.
Hot diggity dog. That's a good battle. These guys qualified 4th and 5th, so safe to say they're evenly matched. I think my favorite part is Tyler Foley in the hairpin. That's the exact line you want to be on.
Well,
Love
you can
that.
see it here. Foley's working his way into outside 4. Clicks into 4, maybe just a tad late, but then rotates up. A nice fluid momentum going into the hairpin, holding on. I think Jimmy was actually maybe a little hesitant, didn't realize if he was going to jump right off the bat there, but that's why I love driving with that dude, because he's super confident through his transitions. Majority of them are on throttle, very throttle controlled. So a great first lap here from Foley. Let's see what Jimmy does in the lead.
Thanks to the replay from our drones, our drone pilots, let's do a shout out for them. They make it super easy for our judges to see every inch of this track. They're deliberating right now, taking some notes, just checking out how each driver behaved, if they did their respective jobs, what they're supposed to be doing, and then we'll send them again. Flip them around, send them again.
All right, we got Jimmy in that blue S13, sitting now in that lead position, getting chased down by Tyler Foley in that orange BMW. It looks like our green lights illuminated on our drag tree here at Raceway Park. Both these drivers are going to work their way down the straight, going into our last initiation point, where everybody just ignores and initiates well before the last point. And Jimmy working his way into outside zone number 1, doing a great job looking into the box. Foley's doing a great job trying to fall in the position as both drivers work their way to 2. Foley doing a little bit of a sacrifice there, trying to work in the position back into the going down to outside 3. Jimmy doing a great job as Foley's trying to keep up to the side of the S13. You can definitely see a little bit of a manipulation out of Foley trying to keep up with Jimmy's. A lot more throttle commitment out of Jimmy this time through in the lead position as both drivers work their way into the hairpin. Foley tries to make the dive. Jimmy's into the grass. Putting the pressure on. Putting the headlight right on the door mirrors. Both drivers transition over that reference point back up to the bank wall. Jimmy keeping it out on the taillights, but Foley's right there on the door handle of Jimmy's S13 and across the finish line.
Hot dang, I love to see titaniums in the bank. Love that. Unfortunately, I think that absolute heater that Jimmy was throwing down, I think it's going to get a little bit of a damper on it for going too deep in that hairpin. It's a fine line between rowdy and too far off the track, and he was really walking it.
Yeah, and you can see that little bit of mistake. Jimmy was riding that fine edge, and out here at the road course, tires off in the dirt is a no-go. So that's going to give the win to Tyler Foley. Tyler Foley in that orange BMW moves on.
You can hear Tyler Foley's fan club in the stands. We love them. They're supportive. One of my favorite drift teams, I got to say.
They got the whole crew out here. They're set up on the other side of the pits. They got, like, they basically have more amenities than most of the hotels we stay at. So Tyler Foley's definitely doing it right. He's enjoying himself. He was awarded his Prospect license last year, and he's just been enjoying his time this year, dialing in himself and his machine.
And he's doubling that South Bay fuel injectors token, going from 25 to 50 bucks because he's letting it ride. That's why I love the Gambler.
Whole bunch of free money here at the Gambler. There's thousands of dollars of the big bucks for standing on the boxes, but there's tons of other ways to win hundreds of dollars here at the Gambler. We're going to work in our drivers here so they can get reset up for battle.
Oh, here we go. We're already going. Here is Jake and Chachulin. Jake's entering nice and wide, filling that first outer zone. He's on a mission. Someone must have told him he did a great job last run. He's filling that second outer zone well, coming super quick down the hill, getting a little tiny bit too wide in outer zone number 3, but smacking that cone for our one and only inner clip, getting all the way wide, filling that fourth outer zone, the elusive fourth outer zone, coming into the hairpin, bit of a slowdown, but not bad, right at the edge of the zone, doing what we want to see. But Miss Chachulin is right on his door as they're coming across the reference point, up into the bank, and whoa-wee, he's knocking on the door as they exit that finish line. Great job by both drivers. That was a great battle.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see the speed differences between the two cars. Max having to make decisions to make sure that he has the real estate to play behind that SR20 powered S13 of Jake Parrish. Jake Parrish doing a good job in that lead. Max doing a great job following. We'll see. We'll get these drivers flip back around, change positions, and now it's Jake's turn to chase down that BMW of Max.
He's going to have to give it all he's got, Captain, for sure.
Well, now that they've duct taped one of the boost couplers back together and that thing's actually using the turbo on that SR, I think Jake's definitely seeing a lot more confidence, especially taking a win into his first competition battle here.
He's like a raccoon that just found a fresh trash can. He's so excited. And we're excited for him.
He's doing a great job out here. Make sure you go read his t-shirt. Ask him personal questions. He loves.
He does. He does love personal questions. And Jake is proof that you don't need a ton of years of drifting competition experience under your belt to come out, have a great time, throw it down with your friends. As long as you have a car that can pass tech, you can turn a decent lap, you can come out here, qualify, and have a great time. Again, why we love the Gambler.
Jake's out here, I believe, on stock wheels, 15-inch tires. I believe they're like a month old. But here we go, second half of the battle as Max takes that lead position in his BMW, getting chased out by Jack Parrish. Going into that last initiation point, Jack using as much of the real estate on the track allowed as the judges see fit as he's trying to keep that proximity on the side of Max BMW as they work their way to the outside zone. Max goes to the outside zone nice and deep as Jake's holding that proximity, trying to keep it. And Jake making a mistake, looking super up until outside zone number 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, Max is a competitor. He's been throwing down in practice. He was doing a great job in qualifying, so we knew he wasn't going to make it easy for Jake. And you know what? Our little Icarus flew too close to the sun. He's driving at 110%, and sometimes that happens, but a nice, well-earned win by Max. Great job. Super, super wide smoky run in the bank. We love to see it.
Make some noise for Jake Pepperoni Parrish. His debut out here. His batting average went to shit in one event.
So Max is going to keep his Freedom Motorsports token, which has now tripled in value, and he's going to steal Jake Parrish's Flipsco token as well. So he's already going into our top 8 battles flush. So we're officially in the top 8 battles. We've already run Tyler Foley, who got the win there, and Revert. Unfortunately, he did take the first L of our top 8. But now we have all of our drivers. Chachulin, he battled his way through 2 tough battles to get into our top 8 today, but he's going to have to go against our number 1, Chris Stevens. So he does have his work cut out for him.
Stevens was looking phenomenal throughout qualifying, tying Trevor Root for our number 1 qualifying score of a 97, but Mr. Consistency himself holding it together with a 96 on his second qualifying lap, bettering Root, giving him that number 1 position. He's also holding on to that East Coast Drift School Let It Ride token, being awarded $25 right off the bat. He's looking to double that money, taking some wins here as he works his way through the bracket, but he's got to get his way through Max first in his BMW.
So we are going to give Maxim Chachulin a second to change his tires, take a breather since he just battled before he has to go against our number 1, Chris Stevens. And we're going to send our next battle on the other side of the top 8, which is Steve Misko, our Pro-Spec driver here in his spare car today, and Chris Knapp, who competes in Pro-Am. So this should be another interesting battle.
Both these guys are very seasoned here at the road course at Raceway Park. Misko, being the hero this morning, showed up, got maybe, 1 or 2 laps of practice, blew a differential, hunted one down. I believe Mikey Walsh was nice enough to give it to him or let him borrow it. Maybe he charged him a lot of money, I don't know. But he got a differential, he fixed it, got out there, qualified, and now he's got to go up against Chris Knapp, who's just coming off of a couple weekends out in Bristol. He's got his 2J car dialed in now. The IS has been doing great. I believe he's also out there on the Volino tires, which is a good tire.
You bet.
He's definitely going to be a weapon. So Misko has his work cut out for him. If he can find all the gears, I think he'll do all right.
If he can shed that nickname of Mischief Misko, I think he'll be all right. But you can't get caught sleeping against Chris Knapp.
Well, I mean, he could be Strip It Steve. But I believe he got the differential in just fine without breaking any bolts. Back there, Steve Misko right now in the bark box warming up his tires as we speak. with Chris Knapp waiting in the line for his turn to warm up.
Steve Misko in that LS S14 drift machine, his demo car. Similar to his pro car, but not quite, so he can still qualify to compete here today. And then Chris Knapp in his 2JZ IS300. They couldn't be more different, but man, they both shred.
Both these guys are definitely not strangers to exchanging some lickings here, so don't move. Make sure you get comfortable. These guys are definitely going to battle it out here as Misko locks his position into the grid and Knapp now warming up his tires.
Steve Misko qualifying third will lead on the first run, and Chris Knapp qualifying sixth will give chase. We always give our driver who qualified higher the option to lead first, so they can set the bar nice and high. And then we'll flip them around. Chris will lead, and Steve Misko will chase.
This guy, Jake Pepperoni Parrish, his first competitive drifting showcase here.
He's visiting us in the tower for a quick second, just, you know, gloating about that win. Doing great for his very first competition. And now you're not a rookie no more, buddy. And he wants us to know he's driving tomorrow. Here we go, Steve Misko leading, Chris Knapp giving chase. Nice entry by Steve. He's actually entering at the number 3 cone, but still super wide in that first outer zone, and Chris Knapp not letting him get an inch of space as they transition to the second outer zone. Whoa, some contact there, oh no. Steve stays on the line, getting in that third outer zone and the first clip, but unfortunately Chris was thrown off a little bit from overcooking that second outer zone. Coming into the hairpin where we have a big slowdown. Chris is right back in the game, knocking on his door. He's not letting him get away as they transition over that reference point and into the back. I'm stoked my mic doesn't work. I was just yelling about how great that last zone was. Gosh dang. Well, we'll just have to watch the replay.
A ton of aggression in that lap. You can see him give a boop to Misko. Maybe not even contacting there, but definitely bit off a little more than he wanted to chew going down that hill. Kept his composure, tried to get back to the door handles by outside 4, cleaned it up, and started to dive back in here. The hairpin, he's starting to set himself back up behind Steve. Steve Misko doing a great job getting the lead here. And right here, Chris Knapp making the educated decision to cut through the line of smoke and put himself where it needs to be, biting back at Misko's door going across the finish line.
Well, Chris Knapp is not lacking any aggression in his driving today. I think all those Pro-Am competitions have been paying off because he's out for blood, for sure. You know, I think the judges are going to have to take a really close look at that incident going from Outer Zone 2 to Outer Zone 3, really see what's going on, and make a decision there as to what driver did what caused that little slow up. But in the meantime, we're going to get them lined up, and we're going to go for the second run where Chris Knapp will lead and Steve Misko will give chase.
And here we go. Chris Knapp initiates Steve Misko shortly behind him. Both drivers working the way to outside zone number 1. Chris settles down, and Steve Misko making sure his presence is known right outside the driver window of Chris Knapp as both drivers transition to outside 2. Chris Knapp super deep through outside 2 as he works his way into outside 3, and Steve Misko still right behind him, cutting through the smoke line now, giving him a little bit of real estate, working his way into outside 4. Chris Knapp doing a good job getting into outside 4, maybe a little less out of 4 than we wanted to see, but jumps right back to the hairpin. Misko trying to keep that proximity now, starting to bark in the IS. Let's see if Steve can make that decision, but it looks like the IS on those Alina tires starting to bark away here at the Raceway Park Bank as Misko falls a couple car lengths behind.
Absolute phenomenal lead run by Chris Knapp. Maybe one small error, but that was super aggressive. Ton of smoke coming out of that IS. Love to see.
And a ton of aggression out of Chris Knapp, but unfortunately, Steve Misko will still get the win. Chris Knapp showing that him and his machine are more than capable of taking on more than they can chew. But Steve Misko is going to walk away with the win here.
Yeah, I think that error in the chase run by Chris Knapp really spoke to the judges. I think that they, unfortunately, his aggressiveness did not outweigh that error coming from 2 to 3. So it happens sometimes in competition, but they're going to get a chance to battle tomorrow. Don't forget, everybody.
Yeah, Chris is going to have the opportunity to come back tomorrow for our doubleheader weekend to throw down again. Another qualifying, another set of tandem battles. All the drivers here are more than welcome to join us tomorrow. A lot of them have already been signed up with more on the way. If you guys would like to get signed up yourself, you can still sign up at the gate. If your car passes tech, you can come out here, compete for thousands of dollars and also hundreds of dollars of cash prizes.
Or if your car is broken like mine is, and you just want to chill with some of your drift friends, have a drink, have a good time, you can come out, spectate, you know, maybe heckle if you want to.
We do enjoy a good heckle from here and there. Not to us.
do.
Leave us alone.
I can take it, Mike. I don't know about you.
Direct everything, all your emails to Sarah. Leave me alone. Our next driver getting warmed up right now. It looks like Chris Stevens, our #1 qualifier, sitting with that tied 97, but then Mr. Consistency with a 96 to get him that #1 spot.
Is Mr. Consistency in the burnout box with his bumper already falling off?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need those portions. They're more aesthetics.
Would you say they are factory non-essentials?
Optional hardware.
I don't know, maybe a flex going into his first battle, maybe to intimidate. Maybe he just didn't bring enough zip ties.
Maybe he already hit the wall.
Given that heater that he threw down in qualifying, I would not be surprised if that was the case, Mike.
Yeah, Chris Stevens, he's got his car set up pretty much to the point where he knows where he wants to be at all times, and he stays there. He rides that extreme out, and you can hear it through his throttle commitment, banging the limiter. A lot of praise, a lot of throttle commitment coming out of Stevens throughout his qualifying laps, and it's showcased through his scores. He's also a solid veteran here at the Gambler, standing on that box multiple times. He's more than capable of manhandling that machine behind whoever he needs to.
And from this view, thanks to our drone pilots, we can see his East Coast Drift School token that he placed on the roof. So it's safe to say he's going to let it ride for this battle. He's feeling confident. He wants to double his money.
It is super cool. Thank you to our Let It Ride sponsors, every single one of you guys, for helping out and supporting the Let It Ride tokens. Those tokens have the option of doubling their value all the way into the finals, where they're locked in, and each driver has the opportunity to steal all the money from their opponent. As we go into our next battle here, as Chris Stevens takes the lead. Chris working his way into outside zone #1 as Max is trying to put that pressure on. Our #1 qualifier showing why he's nice and poised going through that outside zone #1 as both drivers work their way into outside 2. Stevens clicks in. Max is trying to keep up with the side of that S13 of Stevens as both drivers transition up to that front inner clip. Max trying to clean it up now, taking a line deficit choice to get into outside 4. Definitely not the line choice we wanted to see out of the judges, but it did fix his proximity, but now he's maybe holding on to that line a little too long. He needed him to drop back behind Stevens here. Stevens just putting on a clinic, running through the check boxes, maybe avoiding that reference point, but going right up to that last outside zone across the finish line. Max's BMW looking a little lackluster from what we would like to see out of a chase, but he held it together.
Well, Chris Stevens is pouring smoke. We actually had to look away from the track and watch the live stream for a second. So maybe Maxim is just getting lost in the sauce back there as Chris's LS machine just pours smoke around the entire track.
Well, you can hear Stevens' throttle commitment really showcase itself through his lead run, where Max's and BMW is just trying their best to stay to the side of the S13 of Stevens.
Yeah, he was definitely running a little bit shallower of a line, just a little bit on the inside, more conservative as a compromise in order to stay close to Chris Stevens.
With those Freedom Motorsports Let It Ride tokens on Max's car, he needs that clean up his lead lap. He needs to put down a great qualifying lap, give Chris Stevens the real estate, and try to force a mistake out of Stevens here in the second half of this battle.
And here they go. This time, Maxim will lead and Chris Stevens giving chase. Man, they're not even using those other two cones. Great job by Max. Super early entry coming out of that first outer zone, but Chris Stevens is right on his door there as they transition into the second outer zone. Chris giving him a little bit of space, but Maxim's filling that entire outer zone. Same with the third as they transition over that first and only inner clip and coming to the main zone, outer zone #4. Does a great job filling that in spite of its difficulty. Coming into that hairpin, putting it right on the edge. Great job by Max, but Chris is right there on his door as they transition over that reference point for the judges into the last and final outer zone #6. Great job, nice and high on the bank. Decent chase, decent lead. Great job by both drivers.
Yeah, Max definitely showcasing that BMW and himself is more than capable of putting down what he needs in the judges' eyes, but Stevens right there shortly behind him the entire long road course layout we have here at Raceway Park. you guys can see at home on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. You can see a side-by-side comparison here of Steven's lead run versus Max. You can see Max with his BMW doing a great job clicking in the outside four, but Steven doing a little bit of a line choice to keep the proximity there and set himself up to put him back into position of the hairpin. Definitely not the most ideal chase position out of Stevens, but he did hold his position there. You can see in the replay on the other side that Max doing a great job following Stevens' line choice going into the bank here, but a little bit of another choice of line here to try to clean up that proximity, and it looks like we do have a verdict. Chris Stevens gets the win. Chris Stevens gets the win. With that win, he'll steal that Freedom Motorsports Let It Ride token. It'll reset its value back to $25, but he will double his East Coast Drift School token to $50, now sitting on an extra $75 for taking those couple wins out of those bracket. Our next drivers up on the line. We have Trevor Root versus Alan Boss. These guys were out competing out in Bristol the last couple weekends. These guys are going back and forth, head to head. These guys are both got plenty of seat time underneath these machines to do a great battle. Let's get it started with Root taking that lead position, dragging that front wheel out with Boss in the 350 seat, trying to get back into the seat. Number one is Root clicking in deep through outside turn number one, as Boss is right there on the back door. Boss getting a little bit of room for that E36 to manipulate, and Boss jumps right back to the side of Trevor Root's E36 as they work their way to the outside zone number 3 and click back into that first inner clip. Boss giving a little room to manipulate into outside 4 as Trevor Root doing a great job getting an outside 4 nice and deep, but Boss is out shortly behind him, staying in the position, giving a little bit of room to change, and Alan Boss doing a great job as both drivers work their way over the reference point, flick back up to the bank here at Raceway Park. Trevor Root doing a great job, but Alan Boss not far behind him.
Wow, I think that was the best one today. You can definitely tell their throttle commitment when they're coming screaming past the judges' tower. Well, I think Trevor Root started off with a great job. He was on the edge of that first outer zone, just glued to the very edge of it. Phenomenal job, but Alan Boss isn't letting him get an inch away. He's right on his door the entire time. Trevor Root's trying to pull away from him in the center section as he comes into that outer zone number 4. Both doing a phenomenal job here. Now, I think there is a little bit of contact going from 4 to 5 of the hairpin, so the judges will definitely take a look at that. But these guys are just screaming as they come across the reference point, and Alan Boss sucking up right to the side of Trevor Root for that big bank turn. So, great job.
Yeah, excited to see the second half of this battle as Alan Boss and that carbon fiber supercharged 350Z taking that lead position going up against Trevor Root with that LSA-powered V8 E36. Both these drivers are definitely showcasing they're more capable of manipulating these machines in any fashion they see fit. These guys are now hunting for speed. Trevor Root has turned that car into an airplane multiple times, and Alan Boss is definitely not scared to write that thing off. These guys are out for blood, and I'm ready for the second half of this battle.
I'm ready for it too, Mike. I'm excited. We got 2 LS drivers. I think they both are supercharged. 2 of the best drift chassis to ever do it.
Yeah, the 2 belt-driven LS boys.
Now you're speaking my language. So now we have Alan Boss in the lead position. He'll have to go through the chicanes. And Trevor Root in the chase. You'll see him jump that start a little bit. He knows that Alan Boss has the speed, and he wants to make sure he can keep up. Alan Boss entering at that first of the 1, 2, 3 cones. He's super aggressive coming in that first outer zone. Trevor Root's bumper hanging off from that collision in the first battle. And Alan Boss is absolutely to the floor. He misses that second outer zone. Trevor Root is knocking at the door. Boss gets to the second outer zone as he transitions over. Perfect job on that first inner clip as they come around to the man line. Outer zone number 4. Flawless job by Alan Boss. Coming into the hairpin. As they both come screaming past the judges' tower. Across that reference point for the judges and up into that last bank turn. Hot dang.
Make some noise for Alan Boss
That was a
and
great
Trevor
run.
Root. These guys out here battling.
The fans are excited. Hey, who thinks they should go one more time? Yeah, that's what we thought.
I mean, I love watching these guys drive, and you can see through the replays here, side by side, both these guys aggressive through their transitions. A little bit of a bobble through Boss going through outside 2 there. You can see Root holding his composure, making sure that his car is in the position it needs to be, even riding in the smoke line of Alan Boss. You can see Root doing a great job in his lead position, giving all the real estate for Alan Boss to work his way into where he wants to be behind Trevor Root's supercharged BMW. Alan Boss working his way up into that bank nice and high, and Root's just falling right into position, making picture-perfect tandems across the finish line here. A great round of applause for both these drivers, because these drivers definitely are battling it out.
And I believe we have a verdict on that battle, Mike. I believe this one's going to Trevor Root. Trevor Root gets the win. Trevor Root gets the win. And after talking to the judges, it was a very, very close battle. These drivers are both super aggressive, but it came down to a small error by Boss in outer zone number 1 going into 2. So they're really splitting hairs as far as this battle, but these are two great drivers, and Trevor Root just brought the game on this one.
Yeah, these guys' weekend are not done. I'm hoping that Alan Boss will be here tomorrow. I believe he's already signed up, so I know Boss is not done for this weekend. He's definitely a calculated killer. This guy's more than capable of taking out anybody in the field. And unfortunately, he just got paired up with Trevor Root, who's also a killer. And both these guys threw it down. The tiniest mistake separated these two drivers from moving on to the bracket, but a big congratulations to Trevor Root moving on. And he's going to take that Drift HQ Let It Ride token from Alice Boss. It will reset its value, but now he's been awarded that Drift HQ Let It Ride token.
Add an insult to injury. Taking his money, too. Gosh. Hey, those are the breaks. That's the competition.
All right, so it looks like our bracket is narrowing itself down to our final 4 drivers. We have a plethora of Let It Ride tokens dressed all over Chris Stevens, thanks to East Coast Drift School, Freedom Motorsports, and Flipsco. He's going to be going up against Foley, who's holding on to that South Bay fuel injector. The other side of the bracket's got Steve Misko. He's got no tokens. He's broke. Going up against Trevor Root.
Turning out his pockets. Misko's the only one without a token here. Poor guy.
Yeah, well, he's roommates with Ricky Hoffman, so like it's really hard to save money when you got this guy living with you.
So Misko has no tokens, but at least he has a working diff in his car. So you know what? Beggars can't be choosers.
He does. He worked his butt off this morning to get that mechanical failure fixed up for competition here today. And I believe he has a work thing tomorrow, so he's not going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, he's a work thing.
He has a work thing.
No fun. Ew, who works? There's a lot of discussions of some drivers in the stands right now who are talking about maybe getting out there tomorrow. You know, it's not too late. If you're watching all this drifting, it's getting you excited, you have a car that's capable of competition, let's see you out there tomorrow morning.
Tandem Tech, if that car passes Tandem Tech, you can come out here and compete at the Gambler. We do have a tire size that is 255, but you are more than welcome to get signed up at the gate. Work your way over to Raceway Park and get signed up for the Gambler. You can be out here competing for thousands of dollars tomorrow.
So now that we're lining up these drivers, we have a quick second. It's a good time to talk about the last man standing, a bit of a side bet that the drivers have between each other. It is the 100% of the proceeds go to the drivers. Everyone throws in $100, either the drivers themselves or one of their crew members if they really believe in them. We have 3 drivers in the last man standing, and you don't have to win in order to win this pot. All you have to do is outplace all the rest of them. So we actually have 3 drivers out of the official 3 coming into that last man standing pot. So this is another side bet on top of the tokens, on top of the prize money. Whew, it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, and this is only day 1 of our doubleheader weekend here at Raceway Park, the Gamblers. We jump right back into the action as Chris Stevens, our #1 qualifier, working his way down to take his lead position with Foley barking at his door going to outside zone number 1. Chris Stevens nice and deep through outside zone number 1. Foley falling into position now, falling a little back behind and losing a little pace as they work their way through outside 2 and going into outside 3. Stevens clicking nice and deep through 3 as Foley's trying to keep up as now both drivers work their way to that front inner clip. Foley makes his moves. Both drivers work their way into outside 4 as Foley goes to the door. Chris Stevens a little shallow going through 4 as he works his way into the hairpin now. Outside 5 as Chris Stevens just clicking in a little early. But Foley's right there on the side of Chris Stevens' S13 as both drivers work their way past the reference point up into the bank. Stevens nice and high. Foley falling into position now as both drivers work their way over the finish line.
That was a good battle, but I think Stevens made a couple of errors there, unfortunately. He starts off well, going into that first outer zone. Decent job on the entry, decent filling outer zone number 1. Coming into outer zone number 3, also great. Tyler Foley's knocking right on his door. Good job on the inner clip, but it starts to fall apart right here where he almost completely misses outer zone number 4. Now, in my opinion, that is the toughest one on the track. A lot of drivers have trouble, but he also is too shallow on outer zone number 5, the hairpin. So the judges are definitely going to take that into consideration. He's moving, he's making smoke, he's got a lot of speed, he's got decent angle, but you got to be in those zones or it's almost all for nothing.
I can't speak for Chris Stevens. I'm also not a doctor, but I do know that that car is set up in a spectrum that he needs to be on it and in it. And if he's not, it's a miss. Usually, Mr. Consistency is well-rounded, as he can tell from his number 1 qualifying position. But here, now the time to showcase what he's capable of in that chase position is Tyler Foley, that truck engine brethren, taking that first outside zone. Foley's doing a great job getting nice and deep as Chris Stevens trying to fall into position right behind him as both drivers work their way into outside 2. Stevens taking an aggressive approach into outside 2 as both drivers work their way into outside 3 as Stevens now falls right where he needs to be behind Foley as they work their way through that first inner clip. Stevens' SRT takes out that clip. Both drivers get nice and deep in the outside 4. Stevens trying to keep up with Foley's BMW as both drivers work their way into the hairpin here. And as Foley's doing a great job filling and keeping on the pavement, Stevens trying to keep that proximity. As both drivers working their way over that reference point back up to the bank. Let's see how tight Foley can get that car up there. It's Chris Stevens right to the back wheel of the BMW and across the finish line.
Hot dog. Flawless lead run, near flawless lead run by Tyler Foley. He's not a competitor that you want to sleep on, so those 2 errors by Stevens in his lead run are definitely going to hold some water because I don't believe Tyler Foley had any issues getting into outer zone number 4 or outer zone number 5.
Well, here we got a great chance to showcase it side by side. You can see Steven taking that outside zone number 1 nice and deep. Foley also doing a great job in clicking in outside 2. You can see that sacrifice that Stevens made in the chase position there, but Stevens doing a great job through 3. Foley's right there on that front inner clip as well, and both drivers working their way to outside 4. Foley's nice and deep. Stevens pulls out here, and this is where you were talking about that little bit of a deficit where it also set him up poorly for the hairpin outside 5. And you can see on the other side of your screen, Foley's doing a great job filling it over and clicking down for that reference point. We're going to have to weigh on our judges here. I'm definitely not a judge. I don't want to sign up to be. They get a lot of flack, but these guys are watching this very same footage that you guys are seeing here on the live stream and at home on YouTube and on Facebook.
Yeah, as far as the chase runs, I think they both did a really great job at staying close to their lead driver, mimicking that lead driver line. So it may come down to each lead run to see who did a better job putting down that 100-point lead run to allow the chase driver to get close to them.
Yeah, for our other drivers, and if you guys are just curious and you want to come out here and compete, there's a lot of real estate that has to be trusted. Driver in front of you is going to give you to put the car where it needs to be, especially with these guys that start to bark with a lot of grip and starting to get a lot more or asking a lot more out of their machines as the days go on, or they start competing against somebody that maybe has a little more pace in their machine. So these guys are going to have to hold their structure together and make sure that they're going to do the best they can possibly in the lead to give the driver behind them clean real estate to work in. But it looks like we have a verdict for that battle, and I believe Foley takes the win. Foley gets the win.
Yeah, that was a tough one. They're both really great drivers. They have evenly matched cars, but I think Foley just did a better job in the lead. You know, again, I can't speak for the judges, but I think he just did a better job having a super clean, put-together lead, and that's going to get you the win when the competition is that close and they're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show what the judges are expecting out of our drivers here. We want them on the very edge of the pavement here on the backside, as deep into these outside zones as possible and as close to this front inside clip as possible. With that being said, a little bit of a dive or a little bit of float that you can see out of Stevens here in the 4 is just not ideal for our drivers that behind them are expecting that maximum push. So that's why Chris Stevens was deducted that and giving the win to Foley.
And Foley tripling his South Bay Fuel Injectors token and also stealing Chris Stevens' 3 tokens, East Coast Drift School, Freedom Motorsports, and Flipsco.
So all those tokens will now lock in their values going into this final battle. So Foley, I believe, with that triple 75, he's sitting on an extra $150 of Let It Ride tokens, which he can lock that value in. He now has the choice, as does any driver throughout their battles here today, to put that money in his pocket, save it for coffee or maybe ice or fuel for the car or whatever. But he has $75, or he could choose the Let It Ride. We're going to go up to our next side of the bracket where our next battle, Steve Misko goes up against Root, who's holding on to that last Let It Ride token thanks to Drift HQ. the winner of this battle will steal that token, go into the finals, and then all the tokens are in the pot. And now those guys are battling out if they so choose.
These two drivers have done battle in the past, but I have to say, Steve Misko is looking very dialed today, but Trevor Root is not to be counted out. Again, he's never had the top of the podium spot. I think he's hungry for it, Mike. I think today might be his day.
I watched Root. I believe he got a couple box positions over at East 10 in Bristol. So I think he's used to it now, and it's really showcasing as he takes his lead position here, taking that first lap, click in to outside zone number 1, but Steve Misko right there on the side of that BMW as both drivers work their way out of 1 into 2. Steve jumps through the smoke, an aggressive dive into outside 2, trying to get to the side of that BMW. Trevor Root, as both drivers work their way to outside 3. Root rotates the car past that inner clip, putting in a little bit of pace now, separation from Misko as Misko trying to bark back into outside 4. Bruce doing a great job filling outside 4. Misko a little bit of a line choice to get in position. And Misko with a major mistake behind Root. In front of Root BMW. Misko doing a good job keeping it behind him as the BMW Root keeps on pace. Fluid back up to the wall. Misko falling back into position. A little left foot brake out of the S14. Unfortunately, a big mistake out of Misko. It looks pretty good for Root going into the second half of this battle.
Ruh-roh. Mischief Misko strikes again. Yeah, we can see the replay here is shaping up to be a great battle. Steve was right on the side of Trevor Root. Super great job in the chase, I have to say, but it seems to all fall apart coming out of 4 into the hairpin. Let's watch the replay here. The transition looks good. I think he might have just
Yeah, it looks like Steve maybe chose to make that rotation maybe a tad early, or thought he was early and didn't want to just completely destroy everything out on track. So it looked like he made the judgment call to give a little bit of a hesitation, even though he had the real estate. But from the perspective through the windshield, he probably had no visuals of where Root was and went for the dive, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for him.
True, sometimes you swing and you miss, but it's not over yet. We're up for this next battle where Steve is going to get to lead and Trevor will give chase. Steve's going to have to put on a heater. And decent job, he does enter a little bit later than everybody else, but does enter before that 310. Nice job filling the first outer zone, but Trevor Root's right on his door. He knows he has to be aggressive here because he can't let Steve get away with it. Steve is zooming, pouring smoke as he fills that third outer zone, coming across that center section for our first and only clipping point in the front. Filling that fourth outer zone. Great job by Steve as he transitions into the fifth outer zone of our hairpin. Mimicking his line, exactly what we want to see from the judges. Coming across that reference point and up into that sixth and final outer zone of the bank turn. Great job by both drivers. I don't think Trevor Root let him have an inch there.
No, and you know what? It's a real shame because when he doesn't grind them, when he finds them, that's a great showcase that Steve Misko is more than capable of doing what's necessary. But I don't think that mistake that he made in the chase position is going to outweigh it, and it is not. We have a verdict. Root gets the win, doubling that Drift HQ Let It Ride token, walking in with $50 going into the finals, where he will see Foley and battle it out for the day 1 doubleheader of Raceway Park the Gambler.
2 E36s, 2 LSs, Iron Block Junkyard Boys. Who's going to come out on top?
This is going to be a great battle. I like driving with both of these dudes. Both of these become super consistent, especially this last year. They have been dialing in their machines and themselves. These guys have been piloting these BMWs for a very long time. They have a ton of hours behind the steering wheel in these things, and it definitely showcases it here today. They are both confident drivers and more than capable of putting a little extra aggression in. I know these guys are running at 98, 99%, but they definitely got some stuff left in the tank. We're going to get our drivers situated, new tires on underneath the car, and back out to the action. This would be a great time to stop by the grease truck, grab a snack, stop over at Sneaky Pete's, grab a drink, stop in the bathroom, or if you guys are at home, thank you guys for joining us on the live stream. Enjoy the replays and the views here from our drones as we wait for our drivers to get back locked into the grid, and we'll get right back to the action.
In the meantime, before we do that final battle, we also need Chris Stevens up to the line. Chris Stevens and Steve Misko will do battle for third place. So we need both drivers, once they change their tires, back up to the line for their third place battle.
It looks like we're on the internet. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. just a reminder, as you guys are watching the motocross happening over on the other side of the Raceway Park complex, there is a motocross race tomorrow at 10 a.m. You guys are more than welcome to join us for either the motocross or the second doubleheader portion of the Gambler here tomorrow. If you would like to get signed up for either or, you can pay at the gate. And any more information that you would need is available at racewaypark.com.
Or hey, they could do both. Why not have both?
I'm not their dad. They can do whatever they want. Seems expensive, but yeah, I'm here for the drifting because me and handlebars don't get along.
That is a good point. We are more comfortable in a drift car on the drift track side of things over here, but hey, I can't knock the motocross track either.
No, it looks like those guys are having a blast over there. You can see it from where we're positioned. They got one of the big jumps, and we can see every once in a while somebody really sending it through. And as you guys are sitting at home on the live stream, thank you guys for joining us on the internet. Enjoy the views here of Raceway Park, the entire full complex of motocross and drifting happening on just this one side. You can see on the drone all the way across the complex, the go-kart track and the drift stadium also on the other side. So thank you guys for joining us here on the live stream of YouTube and Facebook, and we'll get back to the action here shortly. Big shout out to Flipsco, 506 Wraps, Tire Stacks, Felino Tires, Freedom Motorsports, Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, and East Coast Drift School. Thank you guys for helping make the Gambler happen. Make sure you guys show love to all our event sponsors on the internet and in person. Make sure you stop by and let them know that you saw it here at Raceway Park.
And if you guys are waiting and watching at home, let's hear who you think's going to win these last two battles. Who do you think's going to come in third between Stevens and Misko, and who do you think is going to be standing atop the podium between Tyler Foley and Trevor Reed?
All right, we are gathering our drivers up to the line. We're going to have our third place battle going up first. We'll have Stevens going up against Steve Misko. Stevens piloting that S13 going up against Steve Misko in that S14. All right, it looks like Steve Misko is working his way out of the grid, getting back onto the track where Stevens is already waiting patiently for their third place battle.
Two 240s, both of them red. One S14, one S13, both with LSs.
Two men, one cup. Sorry, wrong show.
I do love when there's a very evenly matched battle, and I think we're about to have two of them, because that means it comes down to just how bad do the drivers want it.
I mean, these guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe everybody out here who had made personal mistakes that put them where they are. No driver ever had any crazy mechanical issues. There was small mistakes, little details out of all these drivers, these last four. Everybody is surviving out into the final four here at the first day of the doubleheader. These guys have been battling it out, holding together in the machines, but made the smallest little details. So giving them another opportunity to showcase what they're capable of, I'm sure these guys are looking forward to it.
You know, there's been no tough wrecks either. I don't want to jinx anybody, but a lot of times we do see at least, you know, there's no walls like over at the Drift Stadium for the previous Gamblers, but I'm telling you, there's some trouble to get into here. There is still a big bank wall.
Well, we do have the bank, which has taken its victims over the last decades.
You're not wrong.
But our drivers have been super calculated, taking the risk where they need to be, but also being a little patient. We've seen a lot more patience out of these drivers, and we can see that through every round and throughout this series all year that these drivers are learning, and they're getting better and better. And it just goes to show, Root been traveling around, just got done with a Pro-Am, and correct me if I'm wrong again, because I didn't double check my facts, but I think he was awarded his Pro Spec license.
He was. He did earn his Pro Spec license. I think he came in first and also earned the license in his last competition. So congratulations there for sure. And maybe we'll see him standing on our podium today, perhaps.
Well, he's sitting in the right position for it. But first, we have our third place battle of Chris Stevens going up against Steve Misko.
So whoever wins this battle will still be able to get on the podium. They will come in third place. They still get a big check. They still get some clout on the internet. There's still prizes to be had.
Yeah, the other guys, though, he has to watch the whole celebration. It gets nothing.
Fourth place. Fourth place could possibly be the saddest place. So close, yet so far.
I don't know. Second hurts a lot, too. But here we go into our third place battle. Stevens taking that lead position with that S13 coupe, clicks in with Misko right on his door. These guys haven't even gotten to outside zone number 1 yet. Stevens doing a great job of Misko making his presence known, making sure that S14 is right in the driver window of Stevens' S13 coupe as they work their way through outside 3. Stevens doing a great job going all the way down the hill here, and Misko right there, right on the side, giving him a little bit of real estate to get that car's position. And Misko diving almost before Stevens into outside 4. Aggression out of Misko. Misko's got to hold that angle together. Bites back, maybe contact out of Stevens. Into that bite back at what he wanted out of the last battle. Stevens works his way over, cross that reference point. Misko's still in the smoke line. As both driver back up to the bank wall. Stevens right there. Misko a little lower.
Woo-wee, the crowd is stoked on this run. You can definitely tell that Misko's got a point to prove coming back after that little error that cost him that last battle. But these boys want the podium. These boys want that third place.
I mean, the fans right in front of the judges' booth and right here in front of the announcer. Hear a couple guys going back and forth that the red 240 is their favorite.
The red 240 is my favorite as well.
Chris Stevens now jumping into that chase position, going up against Steve Misko, now jumping in the lead. You guys at home on the live stream watching Chris Stevens manipulate that S13 coupe through Raceway Park's road course here, and Steve Misko. An aggressive run out of Steve.
An aggressive run out of Steve, but not a bad run out of Chris Stevens either. He was super high on the bank, definitely cleaning up his run from his previous loss against Tyler Foley. So both of these drivers, something to prove out there.
Well, it looks like our track workers, thank you guys for hanging out there, picking up cones all day. It looks like they picked up Misko's fender. So it looks like Misko's bite may have bit off a little bit of the car, but it doesn't seem to affect it mechanically as they work their way into the second half of the battle here as Misko clicks into outside zone number 1 with Chris Stevens right behind him. Misko's VA-powered S14 working his way through outside 1, but Chris Stevens right where you want to be, sitting right behind him, waiting for Misko to transition to outside 2. Stevens trying to follow Misko's line down the hill here, going into outside 3. Misko doing a good job keeping the wheels spinning as they work their way past that first inner clip. Stevens right there on the backside of Misko, working the way to outside 4. Misko getting nice and deep into outside 4, clicking into the hairpin, and Stevens jumps through the smoke line right to the side of Misko's S14. Will drive manipulating into the hairpin now as Misko putting the pressure on him. As Misko transitions, Stevens giving just enough room past that reference point. Back onto the bank, and Stevens right to the side of Steve Misko S14.
Ha dang. That was it for sure. Misko was in every single zone exactly how he wants to be, but Chris Stevens was on his door, transitioning right off his bumper. That dude is not scared of being in the smoke line at all.
And this just goes to show when you got somebody giving you the lead that you want, you can be super aggressive. And right off the bat, Misko did a great job filling out outer 1. I think put a lot of confidence into Stevens. Stevens maybe a little bobble into 2, which just turned up his aggression here. As you can see, he just cuts right behind Misko in that chase position, cutting right back into outside 4. You can see a little bobble to get back in the position here behind Misko's S14, but jumps right back into the hairpin. A dive trying to get back to the backside of Misko, but Misko's VA-powered S14 putting the power down early, and you can see that throttle commitment that Stevens gives him just enough room going marking back up.
Just enough room, like just enough. The judges have a lot to go over here. I think those were 2 really evenly matched runs, maybe a few errors here and there, but man, that was great. I enjoyed that one.
I mean, you can see Steve giving just enough room to Stevens there going into outside 2, and Steve putting the pressure on right into outside 3. It's definitely a dangerous spot to push, but a favorite here going through the road course, and he jumps back in on outside 4 again, but Stevens just right where he needs to be. This side-by-side replay here, thanks to our drone guys and G over there making the live stream happen, so thank you guys for this vantage point for both you guys at home and our judges here at Raceway Park. This is our third place battle. It's not even our finals. It's just the third place battle. This is just for the first loser.
This is just for the last baby spot on the podium. Just a little step up from the ground.
So we have a verdict, but we're going to make these guys go stand over by the podium boxes.
You'll have to join us after this final battle to see who got third. I will say it was extremely close.
With that being said, it goes into our final battle here, day 1 of the Raceway Park Gambler doubleheader weekend. We have Root versus Foley. Foley sitting on a plethora of Let It Ride tokens.
I don't know if he's got enough hands for all those tokens.
I hope they're stuck all over the car.
Me
I
too.
hope they're like littered, like those giant magnets are just littered all over his car.
He's going to need a filing cabinet for all those tokens.
I mean, he might for all these checks if he keeps winning like this. He's looking to take home the big check today, but he's got to get through Root first. Root has been dialed, has ton of seat time for the last couple weeks. He looks great in that gray E36, and he didn't turn it into an airplane this time.
He did not. He was getting close. He was flirting with that wall. But he still has both his taillights, so points for that.
Honestly impressive. As speaking from somebody that can't keep a body panel on the car to save their life,
Yes.
Root can literally lick a car down to the tire, and it just comes back next week, and it's perfectly fine. That one hurts.
I think we have his dad to thank for that.
All right, and here we go into our final battle here. Root taking the lead, Foley to chase as both drivers dip into outside zone number 1. Root doing a great job getting to outside zone 1 early as Foley drops into position where he wants to be, just on the backside of Root's bumper as both drivers work their way to outside 2. Both drivers drive down the hill again to outside 3. Root doing a good job getting into 3, transitions past that front inner clip. Foley giving him a little bit of space as they work their way in the outside 4. A little bit of brake drag out of Root's BMW, getting the position in the 4. A lot of throttle commitment as they both drivers work their way into the hairpin. Good fluidity for both drivers going to the hairpin here at Raceway Park. As Root stomps on it, you can hear them both blazing past the judges' tower, up onto the bank. A little bit of more left foot brake, and Foley falls right back into position. A great first half of the final battle here at Raceway Park, the Gambler.
Nice job. We're definitely going to want to check out the replay here. Trevor Root doing a super good job at getting in that first outer zone. Does leave it just a little bit early, and Trevor Root is knocking on his door. Fills out the second and third outer zones nicely, but Foley's not letting them get away at all as they come across that first inner clip and to the hardest zone, outer zone number 4. He does get in there, transitions into that hairpin, outer zone number 5. Foley's right there, though, positioning himself pretty much perfectly where you want to be. Just ahead of being in that smoke. If he drops back too far, he'll definitely get blinded there. Coming right on his door on that last outer zone of the bank. Decent job.
I just want to comment on that little left foot brake position out of Root going into the bank and then just smacked it right back down. Like, that was saucy. And Foley's just right behind him. These guys have full trust in each other, and the green light illuminated on the second half of this battle with Tyler Foley now taking that lead position in that orange BMW with Trevor Root to chase. Both drivers click in well before that last initiation point as Foley's job is now to get in outside zone number 1. He gets it nice and early, but Root's right behind him, nice and poised, right following, mimicking everything Foley does. A transition a little later from Root, but doing a great job, nice and smooth from both drivers. Foley doing a great job giving the lead as Root's right behind him. This looks fantastic with the drone as Root falls right back into position here behind Foley. Foley already awarded a Pro Spec license with Root, freshly awarded it, and it's really showcasing his both drivers piloting this E8-powered BMW great through Raceway Park's road course. Foley doing a great job, down on the thing. Wow, just what a great battle here.
What a great final battle for the first day of this doubleheader. What a great final battle.
Big round of applause for Foley and Root.
Foley was doing a phenomenal job on that lead run, but Trevor Root was JB welded to his door that whole run. Great job there. He was mimicking his line perfectly where he needed to be.
Foley has always been a stupid fluid driver. That guy is so much fun to chase around, and you can see it here, and Root was confident in that. You can see Foley trying to get and bark at the side of Root's BMW in his position, but you can see where the roles reversed. Root is just glued into where Foley is already wanting to be. It's almost like he already knew for majority of the course, but we're going to have to wait on our judges for a final decision here.
Luckily, as you said before, we have our fantastic drone pilot team to give us the bird's eye view so the judges can really dissect these runs. Because again, when you get to this level of driving, these guys are doing a phenomenal job. We're splitting hairs to choose a winner.
And it really showcases how dialed these guys really are, that the smallest mistakes are really what's giving away battles here. And I mean, just watching these replays here, it's awesome to watch these guys come out and rip around the road course with 6 outside zones and an inner clip. It's a long track. Six
outside zones.
It's a long track.
It's a lot. It's like a European track. Where are we right now?
Not Europe. This is New Jersey. You can't make left turns here.
This is the greatest place on earth.
But we do have a verdict.
So, everyone, join us at the podium. We can't give anything away. We'll announce it for you guys watching at home. You'll be able to see the podium ceremony. Let's all head down. We're going to need all 4 of our final 4 drivers down to the podium so we can announce the first 3 places.
Make some noise for those drivers as they pull in for our podium ceremony here right behind the bleachers, right under the judges' tower, right in front of Sneaky Pete's bar and the grease truck. The owner of this beautiful Range Rover, move it,
Whose is this?
or I will move it for you.
The podium ceremony here. All right, make some noise for all of our drivers here at the Gambler. All these guys coming out and competing. Thank you guys for coming and joining us here at Raceway Park. Also, a big shout out to everybody joining us on the internet. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. I believe we're waiting on the big checks. I guess we could talk to people. We see what the crowd has to say about it.
Come on, Root.
We got nothing.
You just Christopher, are we waiting on the big checks? Well, that's just rude. We're all friends here. I think Steve Misko got that.
I don't. Back together.
We're going to announce our third place winner here.
We're going to announce third.
All right, our winner here for third place. We'll make him dwell in it. Chris Stevens. Make some noise for Chris Stevens taking that third place position here, getting last place in the box. Notable mention to Steve Misko, a differential back in his car.